All glories to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta Madhya Lila Chapter 24, Text 281. Naradha kahe aiche raha thumi bhagyavan etabali dui jana hailan kandara. Narada Muni approved his not wanting more than a daily supply of food, and he blessed him, saying, "You are fortunate." Narada Muni and Parvata Muni then disappeared from that place. (282) Eita kahilun tomaya vyadhera kyana yasuni leha yasaru sangha prabhava jnana. Thus I have narrated the incident of the hunter. By hearing this narration, one can understand the influence of association with devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to stress that even a hunter, the lowest of men, could become a topmost Vaishnava simply by associating with Narada Muni, or a devotee in his bona fide disciplic succession. 283. In this way, Ei aratina arta ganana te paila, ei dui arta mili chavisarta haila. In this way, we have found 3 more meanings of the Atmarama verse. Combine these with the other meanings, and the total number of meanings adds up to 26 in all. 284. Ara arta sunhayaha artera bandhara stule dui arta sukchume bhaktrisa prakara. There is yet another meaning, which is full of variety of imports. Actually, there are 2 gross meanings and 32 subtle meanings. Purport. The 2 gross meanings refer to regulative devotional service and spontaneous devotional service. There are also 32 subtle meanings. Under the heading of regulative devotional service, there are 16 meanings based on the understanding of the word Atmarama, to mean 1. A servant of the Lord as his personal associate, 2. A personal friend, 3. Personal parents or similar superiors, 4. A personal beloved, 5. A servant elevated by spiritual cultivation, 6. A friend by spiritual cultivation, 7. Parents and superior devotees by cultivation of devotional service, 8. A beloved wife or female friend by cultivation of devotional service, 9. A mature devotee as a servant, 10. A mature devotee as a friend, 11. A mature devotee as a parent and superior, 12. A mature devotee as a wife and beloved, 13. An immature devotee as a servant, 14. An immature devotee as a friend, 15. An immature devotee as a father or superior, and 16. An immature devotee as a beloved. Similarly, under the heading of spontaneous devotion, there are also 16 various associates. Therefore, the total number of devotees under the headings of regulated devotees and spontaneous devotees is 32. 285. Atma sabde kahe sarva vidha bhagavan ekasvayam bhagavan ara bhagavan akhyana. The word Atma refers to all the different personalities of Godhead. One of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, and the others are different incarnations or expansions of Krishna. Purport. The word Atma also includes all kinds of personalities known as Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that Krishna has unlimited expansions. This is described in the Brahma Samhita 5.46. Viparchereva hidasantaram apyupetya dipayate vivrita hetu samana dharma Yastadrigeva hicha Vishnu taya vibhati. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. The expansions of Krishna are thus compared to candles that have been lit from an original candle. All the secondary candles are equally powerful, but the original candle is that from which all the others have been lit. Krishna is the supreme original personality of Godhead, and he is expanded as Balaram, Sankarsana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudeva. In this way, there are innumerable incarnations and expansions who are also called Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Regarding the variety of personalities known as Bhagavan, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the personality of Godhead, known as Krishna, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that his expansions are also called the Personality of Godhead. In other words, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the origin of all other personalities of Godhead. Speculative philosophers and mystic yogis also meditate upon the form of Krishna, but this form is not the form of the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a Bhagavan is but a partial representation of the Lord's full potency. Nonetheless, he also has to be understood to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To clarify this matter, one should simply understand that Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, the friend of the cowherd boys and the lover of the gopis, is actually the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is attained by spontaneous love. Although his expansions are also called the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are attained only by execution of regulative devotional service. (286) Tante Rame Yei Se Saba, Tante Rame Yei Se Saba Atma Rama, Vidhi Bhakta Raga Bhakta, Bhuvi Vidha Nama. One who always engages in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Atmarama. There are two types of Atmaramas. One is an Atmarama engaged in regulative devotional service, and the other is an Atmarama engaged in spontaneous devotional service. 287. Bhuvi Vidha Bhaktahaya Chari Chari Prakara Parishara Sadhana Siddha Sadhakana Ara. Both the Atmaramas engaged in regulative devotional service and those engaged in spontaneous devotional service are further categorized into four groups. There are the eternal associates, the associates who have become perfect by devotional service, and those who are practicing devotional service and are called sadhakas, of whom there are two varieties. (288) Jata ajata rati bede sadhaka gui beda vidhiraga marge chari asta beda. Those who are practicing devotional service are either mature or immature. Therefore, the sadhakas are of two types, since the devotees execute either regulative devotional service or spontaneous devotional service, and there are four groups within these two divisions. Altogether, there are 8 varieties. 289. Vidhi bhakti nitya siddha parishadha dasa shakha guru kanta gana chari vidha prakasha. By executing regulative devotional service, one is elevated to the platform of an eternally perfect associate. such a servant, friend, superior, or beloved woman. Each of these is of 4 varieties. 290. Sadhana Siddha Dasa Shaka Guru Kanta Gana Jatarati Sadhaka Bhakta Chari Vidha Jana. Among those who have perfected themselves by devotional service, there are servants, friends, superiors, and beloved damsels. Similarly, there are 4 types of mature devotees. 291. Ajatarati Sadhaka Bhaktai Chari Prakara Vidhi Marge Bhakti Sodasa Bheda Prachara. Within the category of regulative devotional service, there are also immature devotees. These are also 4 varieties. Thus, in regulative devotional service, there are altogether 16 varieties. 292. Ragha Marge Eche Bhakti Sodasa Vibheda Bhuvi Marge Atma Ramera Bhaktrisha Vibheda. On the path of spontaneous devotional service, there are also 16 categories of devotees. Thus, there are 32 types of Atmaramas enjoying the Supreme Lord on these 2 paths. 293. Muni Nirgranta Cha Api Chari Sabhira Arta Yahanye Lagetaha Kariye Samarta. These 32 types of devotees are qualified with the words Muni, Nirgranta, Cha, and Api. The meanings can be increased in different ways and very soundly elaborated upon. 294. Vatrishe cha bise mili asta panchasa ara ekabera suna artera prakasha. When we add the 26 types of devotees to these 32, they altogether number 58. You may now hear from me of further manifestations of meanings. 295. Itare tara chadiya samasakariye atnana bara atmarama namalaiye. In this way, as I add the word Sha to one word after another, I make a compound. Thus, the different names of Atmaramas can be taken 58 times. 296. Atmaramascha atana bhara seshe sabalopakari raki ekabhara. In this way, one can repeat the word Atmarama with Cha for each of the 58 meanings. By following the rule previously stated and rejecting all but the last, we retain that which represents all the meanings. 297. Sarupanam ekasesha eka vibhakato uttartanam aprayoga. Sarupanam ekasesha eka vibhakto uttartanam aprayoga iti. Of words having the same form and case termination, the last one is the only one retained. This is a quote from Panini's Sutras, 1.2.64. 298. Atana chakarera sabalopahaya eka atmarama sabde atanartakaya. When all the chakaras or additions of the word cha are taken away, 58 different meanings can still be understood by the one word Atmarama. 299. Asvata vrikshascha bhata vrikshascha kapita vrikshascha amra vrikshascha vrikshaha. By the plural word vriksha, trees, all trees such as banyan trees, fig trees, kapita trees, and mango trees are indicated. 300. Asmin bane vriksha phalan tiyaiche haya taiche saba atma rama krishne bhakti karya. The Atma Rama verse is like the sentence. In this forest many different trees bear fruit. All Atma Ramas render devotional service to Lord Krishna. 301. Atma Ramascha samuchaye kahiye chakara munayascha bhakti kare ei artatara. After uttering the word Atma Rama 58 times and taking cha in a sense of aggregation, one may add the word munaya. That will mean the great sages also rendered devotional service to Lord Krishna. In this way, there are 59 meanings. 302. Nirgranta e bahanapi nirdara ane ei una shasti prakara arta karilun vyakhyane. Then taking the word nirgranta and considering api in the sense of sustenance, I've tried to explain a 59th meaning of the verse. 303. Sarva samuchaye ara eka artahaya atma ramascha munayas cha nirgrantas cha bhajaya. Taking all the words together, there is another meaning. Whether one is in Atma Rama, a great sage, or a Nirgrantha, everyone must engage in the service of the Lord. The word Sarva Samuchaye is significant here. It includes all classes of men, Atma Ramas, Munis, and Nirgranthas. Everyone must engage in the service of the Lord, taking up the word api in the sense of ascertainment. There are altogether 60 different meanings. Api sabda avadharani seha charibara chari sabde sange evera karive uchara. The word api is then used in the sense of ascertainment, and then the word eva can be uttered 4 times with 4 words. Text 305. Guru krame eva bhaktim eva ahetukam eva kurvantiva. The words Urukrama, Bhakti, Ahituki, and Kurvanti are added to the word Eva again and again. Thus another meaning is explained. Text 306. Eita kahilun shlokera shasti sanchaka arta ara eka arta suna pramane samartha. Now I have given 60 different meanings of the verse, and yet there is another meaning which is also very strongly evident. 307. Atma sabde kahe kshetragya jiva lakshana brahmadi kita paryanta tanra sakti te ganana. The word Atma also refers to the living entity who knows about his body. There is another symptom. From Lord Brahma down to the insignificant ant, everyone is counted as the marginal potency of the Lord. 308. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetragyakya Tata Para Avidya Karma Samgyaya Tirtiya Shaktir Ishyate. The potency of Lord Vishnu is summarized in 3 categories, namely the spiritual potency, the living entities, and ignorance. The spiritual potency is full of knowledge. The living entities, although belonging to the spiritual potency, are subject to bewilderment. And the third energy, which is full of ignorance, is always visible in fruitive activities. This is a quote from the Vishnu Purana. For another explanation, see Adi Lila 7.119. Text 309. Kshetragya Atma Purusha Pradhanam Prakriti Striyam. The word Kshetragya refers to the living entity, the enjoyer, the chief and material nature. This quote is from Svarga Varga. of the Amara Kosha Dictionary. 310. Brahmite Brahmite Yari Sadhu Sangapaya Sabicha Jita Betinho Krishnera Bhajaya. The living entities are wandering in different species of life on different planets, but if by chance they get the association of a pure devotee, a sadhu, they give up all other engagements and engage in the service of Lord Krishna. 311. Sati arta kahi lun saba krishnera bhajane sei arta haya e saba udharane. I have thus explained 60 different meanings, and all of them aim at the service of Lord Krishna. After giving so many examples, that is the only meaning. 312. Eka shasti arta ebe surila toma sange tomara bhakti vase utte artera tarange. Now, due to your association, another meaning has awakened. It is due to your devotional service that these waves of meaning are arising. Purport. The word Atma refers to the living entity. From Lord Brahma down to an insignificant ant, everyone is considered a living entity. Living entities are considered part of the Lord's marginal potency. All of them are Kshetrajya, knowers of the body. When they become nirgrantha, or free, saintly persons, they engage in Lord Krishna's service. That is the 61st meaning of the verse. 313. Aham vedmi shukho veti vyaso veti na veti va bhaktya bhagavatam grayam na bhujana chati kaya. Lord Shiva said, I may know, Shukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, may know, and Vyasadeva may know, or may not know Srimad Bhagavatam. On the whole, Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Purana, can be learned only through devotional service, not by material intelligence, speculative methods, or imaginary commentaries. Purport. Devotional service includes 9 processes, beginning with hearing, chanting, and remembering the activities of Lord Vishnu. Only one who has taken to devotional service can understand Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the spotless Purana, or transcendentalist, Paramahamsa. So-called commentaries are useless for this purpose. According to the Vedic injunction, Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir Yatha Deve Tata Guru. All Vedic literatures maintain that Srimad Bhagavatam has to be learned from the person Bhagavata, and to understand it, one has to engage in pure devotional service. Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be understood by the so-called erudite scholars or grammarians. One who has developed pure Krishna consciousness and has served the pure devotee, the spiritual master, can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Others cannot. 314. Artasuni sanatana vishmitahana stuti kare mahaprabhura charane dhariya. After hearing all the explanations of the different meanings of the Atmarama verse, Sanatana Goswami was struck with wonder. He fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to offer prayers. 315. Sakshat Isvara Tumi Rajendra Nandana Tomara Nishpase Sarva Veda Pravartana. Sanatana Goswami said, My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Maharaja Nanda. All the Vedic literatures are vibrated through your breathing. 316. Tumi Bhakta Bhagavatera Tumi Jana Arta Tuma Vina Anya Janite Dahika Samarta. My dear Lord, you are the original speaker of the Bhagavatam. You therefore know its real import. But for you, no one can understand the confidential meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Purport. Following this statement by Srila Sanatana Goswami, we have written our introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, pages 1 through 41. 3:17. Prabhu kahe ke nekara amarastavana Bhagavatera Svarupa Kene Nakara Vicharana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "Why are you glorifying me personally? You should understand the transcendental position of Srimad Bhagavatam. Why don't you consider this important point?" 3:18. Krishna Tulya Bhagavata Vibhu Sarvasraya Prati Shloke Prati Akshare Nana Arthakaya. Srimad Bhagavatam is as great as Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and the shelter of everything. In each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, and in each and every syllable, there are various meanings. 3:19. Prashnotare Bhagavate Hariyache Nirdalaha Yanhara Shravane Loke Lage Chamatkara. The form of Srimad Bhagavatam is given in questions and answers. Thus the conclusion is established. By hearing these questions and answers, one is highly astonished. 3:20. Ruhi Yogesvare Krishne Ramane Dharma Varmani Samkastam Adunopete Dharma Kamsaranam Gata. Now that Sri Krishna, the Absolute Truth, the Master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us by whom religious principles are presently protected. Purport. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.23 was a question raised by all the sages who were headed by Sanaka. This question put before the great devotee Sutta Goswami is the foremost of the 6 questions raised. The answer to this important question is given in the next verse, also from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.42. Text 321. Krishne Swadhamopagate Dharma Jnanadibi Saha Kalonasta Drisham Esha Puranarko Dunodita. After Lord Krishna departed for his abode, along with religious principles and transcendental knowledge, this Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, has arisen like the sun in this age of Kali to enlighten those who have no spiritual vision. 3:22. Ei mata kahilun eka shlokera vyachana vatulera pralpapakari kekare pramana. In this way, like a madman, I have explained the meaning of just one verse. I do not know who will take this as evidence. 3:23. Amahena yebekehe vatulahaya ei drishte bhagavatera artajanaya. If one becomes a madman like me, he may also understand the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam by this process. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu plainly explains that Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be understood by those who are materially situated. In other words, one has to become a madman like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Apart from being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an acharya who exhibited love of God like a madman. According to his own written verse, Yugitam Nimeshena, he says that for him a moment seems to last 12 years. Chakusha Pravrasaitam. My tears are flowing like torrents of rain. Sunyayitam Jagat Sarvam. I feel as if the entire universe were vacant. Why? Govinda Virahina Me. Due to my being separated from Govinda, Krishna. One can understand Srimad Bhagavatam only by following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was mad for Krishna. We cannot, of course, imitate Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is not possible. However, unless one is very serious about understanding Krishna, he cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the full narration of Krishna's transcendental activities. The first 9 cantos explain who Krishna is, and the Lord's birth and activities are narrated in the 10th canto. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Krishna's appearance and disappearance are transcendental, not mundane. A person is eligible to return home back to Godhead if he perfectly understands Krishna and his appearance and disappearance. This is verified by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Chaktva deham punar janma naiti mam iti soruju. It is therefore concluded that one has to learn about Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, and one has to follow in those footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those who do not follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand. Those who do not follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cannot understand Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. 324. Punasana tanakahe yuridu hikare Prabhu agyadila Vaishnava smriti kari bhare. Folding his hands, Sanatana Goswami said, "My Lord, you ordered me to write a directory about the activities of Vaishnavas." Thus ends our reading for today. All glories to Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees Ki Jai. All glories to the worldwide devotees Ki Jai. All glories to all human and non-human living entities Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Haribol.